Hello viewers, I am Dr. Preeti Jagwani, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science from Aryabhatta College, University of Delhi. I welcome you all to CEC lectures. For today's lecture, I have selected a topic of minimum spanning tree, which basically falls under the umbrella of greedy technique of algorithms. So precisely our topic is greedy technique, and we will be covering minimum spanning tree examples under this. So as far as agenda is concerned, our today's agenda is we will be having a recap of greedy algorithms, what actually the greedy algorithm is, and then we will see some quick examples of greedy algorithms. Then we will actually jot down to our problem of today, which we have selected, that is spanning tree, and then we will explain what is minimum spanning tree, and followed by some applications of minimum spanning tree and some important points or important notes. So this will be the line of agenda for today. Now starting the lecture formally, coming to what actually the greedy algorithm or greedy technique is. So greedy algorithm, as you all are aware, we have covered in the previous lectures also, that this is basically an algorithmic paradigm. We can say it is a problem solving heuristic. It is a strategy among various available strategies under the umbrella of algorithm or under the term of algorithm designs and strategies. Greedy technique or greedy algorithm is one of the strategy. So basically what we do in greedy algorithm is the solution is not constructed once at all. It is constructed in a piece by piece modular manner. This modular manner is basically recursive in nature. We are benting upon recursive solutions here, and these solutions are also greedy. So when we try to explain that what actually the term greedy here means is choosing the next piece that offers the most obvious and immediate benefit. We will be choosing the next solution, or we will be choosing the next piece of the solution by weighing it in terms of outcomes, we can say. So the piece or the solution which is going to give us, or the step which is going to give us the maximum benefit, that piece or that step is being chosen. So every time we are going to choose our next step towards solution, we are becoming greedy. So that's why this is known as greedy algorithm. And finally we can say collating these locally optimal solution going to lead to the global solution also. So finally these local optimal solutions will take us to the global solution. These local optimal solutions are those piece by piece solution which we were referring in the above steps. But if we can say this strategy, which is greedy algorithm or greedy technique, it is going to produce optimal solutions for most of the mathematical problems, or I can say for some mathematical problems, but it is not guaranteed to produce, it is not giving any guarantee to produce optimal solutions for all the problems, because this is a kind of short-sighted algorithm. Short-sighted algorithm in the sense that we are just looking at the immediate benefits, not the long run benefits. Then the solutions are non-recoverable. Non-recoverable means when we compare this to I can say dynamic programming approach. Dynamic programming approach is considered as recoverable. That means there we can revisit the solution. If we are not happy or if we are not satisfied with the solution, we can always revisit it, we can always recover it. But as far as greedy algorithm is concerned, these solutions are non-recoverable. That means once you have taken that particular step towards the solution, it is not possible to revert back one step or maybe n steps. So these solutions or the greedy technique, we can say, is non-recoverable, as well as And this is short sighted because we are looking for just immediate benefits, and because of being short sighted, it can stuck in local maxima. We can understand this by imagining a plateau, or imagining a particular plateau which is kind of a local maxima, and it is having the global maxima just next after it. But as the algorithm is short sightedness and we are looking for the immediate benefits, it can stuck into local maxima by avoiding or by ignoring or by not looking into the global maximas. And also one constraint here is that your greedy algorithm is ideal for the problems which are having optimal substructure. But it is despite of all these constraints and all these problems, we can say this is the algorithm which is best suited for many simple problems. Many simple problems of algorithms can be solved by using this greedy strategy. Now coming to what are the examples which can be solved using this greedy algorithm. So this greedy algorithm is useful for many type of applications, like we have already seen one of them is activity selection problem. This we have covered in our previous lectures. Then we have the problem which is the agenda for today, which is minimum spanning tree, known as MST for short. Then greedy technique is also useful for shortest path problems. Then we have examples like Huffman coding, independent set problem, largest sum of a set, and fractional knapsack. Not the 0-1 knapsack, but the fractional knapsack, because 0-1 knapsack you cannot solve using greedy algorithm. So all these are the examples in which we can use greedy technique of solving the problem, and we will end up with optimal solutions, but the list is not exhaustive. There are many more. So now I am coming to our next problem, or our today's problem, which is MST, minimum spanning tree. So before going into the term with the adjective, that is minimum spanning tree, let us first understand what is a spanning tree. Now let us consider a graph which is a normal graph represented in the standard represented using the standard notation, that is G is the graph which is a set of V and E, where V is the set of vertices and E is the set of edges. And here the graph is a simple connected graph, undirected graph, and a non-weighted graph. And these are the characteristics of graph which we are having for our problem. Now let us look what is a spanning tree. So a spanning tree, we can say it is a tree without any root. So basically it is called a free tree, and it is having V-1 edges that connect all the vertices of the graph. So that means in the spanning tree, all the vertices which are present in the graph will be there, but the number of edges will be V-1. So V-1 edged graph with all the vertices being covered in that is a spanning tree. So a spanning tree, we can say, as the term spanning indicates that it is spanning all the vertices. That means it is taking care of all the vertices which are available within a graph, which are available within the vertices set of a graph. So basically we can say a spanning tree for a graph G having the characteristics which I just told is another kind of, we can say, or a tree which is represented by the letter T. It is having a set V dash and E dash. So where V dash is exactly equals to V, because we are talking about covering the all vertices, we are talking about spanning a tree over all the vertices. So V dash is exactly equals to V, And another property of this spanning tree is this spanning tree T is connected and it is cyclic also. So it has to be one connected thing. Then now coming to, after looking at spanning tree, let us come to minimum cost spanning tree. So minimum cost spanning tree is also known as, or we can also called it, it is also called as minimum weight spanning tree, because what parameter is there which we are aiming to make minimum is the weight of edges, and I have already told you that graph has to be weighted. So basically minimum cost spanning tree or minimum spanning tree in short, or minimum weight spanning tree or are all the different terms used for MST. So basically what is this MST or minimum spanning tree? It is a subset of the edges of a connected edge weight and directed graph that connect all the vertices together without any cycles. So it has to be acyclic. This is what we have covered. This is basically a kind of, we can say, spanning tree. But if we are talking about minimum cost spanning tree, we can say spanning tree does not have cycles, it has to be acyclic and it cannot be disconnected. So this is normal spanning tree, but with one property here added, the minimum possible total edge weight, that is the spanning tree which we are considering as minimum spanning tree must be having sum of edge weights as small as possible. That means if you are going to add all the weights of each and every edge which is being covered in minimum spanning tree, that must be as small as possible. So that's why the term here is minimum spanning tree. Now a very important thing is, a minimum spanning tree may not be necessarily unique. It is not necessary to have one unique minimum spanning tree, but yes, we can have unique minimum spanning tree if each edge has a distinct weight. That means we cannot have a number, let's say x, which is the weight of more than one edges in that particular graph. So if each edge has a distinct weight, then there will be only one unique minimum spanning tree. Then there must not be any parallel edges, there must not be any cycle. This we have already seen. So with no parallel edges, each edge having a distinct weight in terms of numbers, then we can say that there will be only one unique minimum spanning tree. But if the number we can say is being repeated, or weight is being repeated, then in that case you may not have the unique minimum spanning tree. So for a spanning tree, we can say any traversal of a undirected connected graph which is spanned over all the vertices, or this traversal we can say of the connected undirected graph which is accessing all the vertices, is a spanning tree. Now this set of edges traversed forms a spanning tree. Now how are we going to traverse these edges? So these edges can be either traversed using normal traversal, or we have breadth first search or depth first search. So those trees which are generated from breadth first search or depth first search algorithms can be considered as a spanning tree. But for minimum cost spanning tree, we cannot rely on breadth first search or depth first search algorithms. We have some separate algorithms to determine or to find minimum cost spanning trees. Now after considering all the features of this minimum spanning tree, let us try to understand that where these minimum spanning tree are of use. That means what are the applications of these minimum spanning tree. So we can say, let us consider a scenario that we have a telecommunication company which is trying to lay a cable in a, let's say, new neighborhood, and we need to that telecommunication company need to bury the cable along certain paths which are basically roads, and we can draw a graph connecting the points. These points are nothing but houses in that neighborhood, and these houses are connected by paths. So basically those paths are edges. So now in order to introduce the concept of weight here, we can say some paths or some edges are expensive, maybe because of length of requirement of burying the cable deeper, or because of any other reason. Some are the paths which are expensive, and therefore they have larger weights, and some have kind of, we can say, less expensive weights as compared to the others. So in this scenario we can say minimum spanning tree is going to be subset of all those paths that are having no cycles but still connects every house. So what we are looking for? We are looking for connection between every house. This is what the agenda is, without any cycles, and also we are looking for we can say non-expensive or cheaper path having smaller weights. So you can visualize this scenario using this figure, which is having one central office, and there are some houses in the neighborhood. Rather than going every wire which is going from central office to each and every house, so one idea is you can lay a cable from central office to each and every house, but that is going to be a kind of centralized approach, as well as very costlier one. Another approach which is shown in figure is this: we can have one central office and we can have houses connected among themselves, rather than getting every connection from central office. So here what we are trying to do, we are trying to minimize the total length of wire connecting the customers, or we are trying to minimize, we can say, the weight of the edges. So weight of the edges, we can say it is total length of wire. It could be total length of wire, or it could be expense which we are going to incur in laying down a wire from one point to another point. Apart from this, examples of telecommunication networks, we have minimum spanning tree applications in the domain of pattern recognition. In domain of pattern recognition, minimum spanning trees can be used to find noisy pixels. Then we have a very common example of application of MST is group communication in computer networks. Now this can be imagined by using the using the previous figure of that telecommunication company network. Also in an electrical network, in order to determine an independent set of circuit equations, we can use minimum spanning tree. So there are variety of applications of minimum spanning tree. Now coming to minimum cost spanning tree or minimum spanning tree, as we have already seen that for an weighted connected undirected graph G, the total cost of G is the sum of weights on all its edges. So basically what is the total cost for a particular graph? Sum of weights on all its edges, and a minimum cost spanning tree for that particular graph G is something which is a minimum spanning tree having least total cost. So there is a total cost associated with G, and within that G we need to cover all the vertices, but with the edges having minimum cost. So total overall cost should be least. This is what I can say is minimum cost spanning tree or minimum spanning tree in a single line, we can say. Now here we have, if you can see the figure, we have a graph which is connected with 4 vertices A, B, C, D, and there are different edges connecting different vertices with edge weights given on them. So between A and B there is an edge with weight 2, between B and D there is an edge having weight 3, between A and D it is 8, between A and C it is 2, with B and C it is 1, and D and C it is 4. So as I have already told you that there may not be a unique tree for this particular situation or for this particular graph. If you can draw exhaustive if you can draw exhaustive numbers of spanning trees, we are having 16 spanning trees. Please make a note of it that I am saying a spanning tree, it is not the minimum spanning tree. We have 16 spanning trees. Among those 16 spanning trees, we have 2 spanning trees with the minimum cost of 6. So there are 16 spanning trees with 2 minimum cost spanning trees, each with a cost of 6. Now let us see how this how it is possible to have 2 minimum cost spanning trees having the same total least total weight of 6. So as I have already told you that weights are not, if weights are not unique, then we may have multiple minimum cost spanning trees. So here is the same is the situation here, that weights are not non-unique. We have those weights repeated, and because of those repetition of weights we have multiple minimum cost spanning tree as shown in the figure. So one figure, there are basically 2 portions in this figure. On the left side we have A connected with C, C connected with B, and then B connected with D. Now you can notice that all the vertices have been covered very nicely, and the total edge cost for this minimum spanning tree is 1 plus 2 plus 3. So 1 for BC, for BD it is 3, for AC it is 2. So total cost is 6. Now coming to the next figure in this next portion of this figure, which is, now we have AB as weight 2, then we have BD as weight 3 and BC as weight 1. So here also all the vertices have been covered, A, B, C, D, and we have the minimum cost of this spanning tree as 6 also. So with this figure there are total 16 spanning trees which are possible. Out of those 16 spanning trees, there are 2 minimum cost spanning trees, and we are saying 2 because they are in terms of cost they are having a tie. Both of them are having a cost of 6. So basically 2 minimum cost spanning trees. Now we come to some very important points which we need to remember while working with minimum cost spanning trees. Those are, if the minimum cost edge E of a graph is unique, then this edge is included in any minimum spanning tree. For example, in a graph we are having one edge having the minimum weight, and that is unique. So looking at this figure, we have the edge which is BC, that BC is having weight as 1, and this is the minimum weight of all the weights present there. So this one, and this is a unique weight in the sense we don't have any other kind of edge with this particular weight as a 1. So that is only one edge, which is BC, with having weight as a 1. So that is a unique here, and in this type of situation, minimum cost edge, which is BC of a graph, here it is unique, then this edge is included in any MST. So we can see the example in both of the minimum spanning trees, which we have seen just before this point, are having BC with minimum edge weight. So if this if the graph is having a minimum cost edge that is unique, then this edge will be included in all the minimum spanning trees. Whatsoever the number of minimum spanning trees is, this edge will be included in all the minimum spanning trees. And one point which is another point which is very important here is in terms of cycles. For any cycle C in the graph, if weight of an edge E of this cycle C is larger than the individual weights of all other edges of C, that means within a cycle we have one edge which is having a larger weight as compared to all the other weights of that particular cycle. So that edge will not belong to minimum spanning tree. That edge can belong to the spanning tree, but not to the minimum spanning tree. So these 2 points which we need to be very careful about. One is related to cycles having the larger weight of one particular edge than the individual weights of all other edges. Another is the point related to minimum cost edge E of a graph, which is unique, then that edge has to be included in any of the minimum spanning trees. So here let me summarize today's lecture. We can say we have started with kind of recap of greedy algorithm. We have seen we have quickly seen that what actually greedy algorithm is. Then we have seen the list of list of examples or what applications can be solved using that greedy technique, and within that greedy technique we have picked one example which is of minimum spanning trees. So within that minimum spanning trees we have covered we have first seen what actually a spanning tree is, and then what is minimum spanning tree, some properties of that particular minimum spanning trees, and some very important points which we need to remember while we are working with minimum spanning trees. And these points are related to one is related to minimum cost edge, and another one is related to the cycle if it is contained into the graph for which we are going to determine minimum spanning tree. Hope you have enjoyed the lecture. Thank you for a patient hearing.